So, can we agree once and for all that challenges, our present circumstances, have no say in our self worth? Can we just agree that challenges have no bearing on our self worth? We're talking about that today in this episode, new episode, fresh episode. You get the idea of the TamaraTamu Collective, where dreams have no filter. So let's talk about self-worth. And we're going to talk about a few things surrounding self-worth. We're going to talk about how challenges may lead us down a path of identifying with those challenges and making those challenges mean something as far as what it says about our identity and the truth of who we are. Okay, so we're going to get into that. So let's talk about self-worth. Number one, self-worth is this. We have to ask the question, do I know myself to be worthy of what I desire? Now, I know that the grammar on that sounds a little funky. It is a little funky. That's intentional. I'm going to repeat that funky question. Do I know myself to be worthy of the life I desire? My question for you is, have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you asked yourself that question? I believe it's important because our self-worth, what we believe about our self-worth, is tied to our identity. That's important because our self-identity is tied into our desires and our visions. So to accept your desires, your visions, and how you see your life is to accept who you are, is to accept your identity is tied into how your soul wants to be expressed, how you want to live, what is true for you. All of those, self-worth, self-identity, your dreams and desires, all of that is tied in. It's integrated, okay? So leave that to the side. We'll come back to that later. So now I want to get into challenges, whether those challenges are from the past, whether they are current. You have to ask, do they affect our self-worth? Now, I'm going to say no, but when you go through a challenge, you go through a circumstance that is less desirable, when self-doubt arises, that can conflict with your identity and how you've already chosen to be in this world and what you've chosen to have, what you've told yourself that you are worthy to have. And sometimes what can happen is challenges that can be so heavy where your mind can be tricked to think, well, I went through that challenge, so that must be telling me that I'm not worthy of what I truly want, or I'm not supposed to have what I truly want. And that is not true. All right? It's not true. So then I invite you to ask, what we have to ask is, what is my truth about who I am? In what way do I want to radiate my essence in this world? And again, that is tied, when you hear me use the word essence, that is tied into your vision, how you want to be, how you want to exist, your gifts, your genius, all of that is part of your identity. So, what is the truth about who you are? What is your true essence? So, I want to give examples of challenges. So, challenges, we could do a whole list, right? So let's just talk about a few. Losing money, we can understand that. Losing businesses, losing relationships, just losing, or what can feel like a loss. Those experiences can bring about embarrassment, shame, fear of taking risks, or just fear in general. Fear of living, fear of putting yourself out there to be seen, fear of new experiences, fear of new, fear of adventure, fear of freedom. So then we settle and we put ourselves in a box. Forget about other people trying to put ourselves in a box. We put ourselves in a box because we're afraid of living fully because of challenges, which causes us to dilute and water down who we are because we've chosen to settle. All right. So here's the thing, though. Here's some more good news. The truth about who we are and our worth does not change because of challenges, because of circumstances. It doesn't change. The truth about our divinity is still intact. Our power is still intact. Our worth to have what we want in our lives is still intact. That does not change. So, everything that you have experienced, whether it was required for you to experience that or not, it presents an opportunity for you to go within yourself and embrace the power and the worth that's woven. It's woven in between your molecules. Your self-worth is at the molecular level, okay? It's solidified at the molecular level. I'm not here to convince you of that. That is just what I know to be true, all right? You can take it or leave it. Your self-worth is solidified at the molecular level, all right? So I invite you to try that on. Try that perspective on and see if your life does not change for the better. So here's another thing we have to realize too. We often, when we go through these challenges, when we've experienced challenge, the reason why those challenges, we allow those challenges to affect our self-worth, to trick us into thinking that somehow if we went through that challenge, somehow if we lost all that chips away at our self-worth. The reason why we allow that to happen is because we tend to say, well, there was the me that went through that, and then here is the me right now. When really, There's one divine you. You were divine then, you are divine right now. We tend to separate those aspects of us now when we are divine now, when all of those parts of us are integrated. Okay? So now this is where I've talked about this before, about alchemy, emotional alchemy, spiritual alchemy. And here's where, as it relates to challenges, here's where we get to take on the identity of the alchemist in our lives, all right? We can choose to look at our challenges differently. We can choose to recognize the fact that we know more. We definitely know more. If you've lost something important, you've lost your money, you definitely know more. You have increased emotional intelligence because now you know how to respond to things, responding not out of just a quick reaction, but really taking a moment to observe first. That's something that you've learned. Your change in your focus has changed. So instead of looking at what didn't work or a mistake that you made or what you should have said or what you should not have said, what should have been done or should not been done, you have to look at those aspects, the way that you changed how you look at challenges. You have to take that and say, okay, well, how can I use all of that toward my radiance, toward being more of who my soul wants to be? To me, that is what's called balance. Okay? Balance is accepting all of those experiences, taking the information into who you are being right now. So it's kind of like you're standing in the middle. Imagine yourself standing in the mirror or standing in the middle of countless mirrors. Countless mirrors. Everywhere you turn, there's a mirror, which means everywhere you turn, you see yourself. There is no separation. So you're not going to look in mirror number 5 and say, oh, well, I don't like that over here, so I'm going to look in mirror number 2. Hopefully I'm going to see something different. No, you're still seeing yourself. You see no one but yourself in these mirrors. And the truth of who you are is reflected back to you. The truth of who you are is what? The truth of who you are is abundant. The truth of who you are is prosperous. The truth of who you are is worthy of the soul-fulfilled life that you continue to think about and wake up with, you go to bed with, you're thinking about it throughout the day. That's the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are is divine. Period. So, are you willing to look at what those challenges gave you as substance, as more power? So instead of telling yourself, for example, let's say you made a mistake with having money in the past, having increased income in the past. So therefore, I'll just settle for this low-paying salary because of what happened in the past. Now, I'm not worthy to receive more money because of the mistake that I made with the money in the past. You get to choose how you're going to identify. So if you are choosing if you're choosing to identify as an abundant being, if that is the truth of who you are, then you can look at the challenge of not handling all that money properly. You can say, okay, well, yeah, she did that. If you're looking in the mirror, you see that part of you that made that mistake. You see that part of you that took those actions. You're observing that part of you that took those actions. That part of you was divine then. That part of you is divine now. So you can look at that and say, okay, well, I did that. What is the substance in that I can take to now add to my abundant identity that I know to be true now? How can I add that so that I can see myself as worthy to receive more, to have more? Because now I'm grounded in who I really am. Now I'm grounded as a prosperous being. Now I'm grounded as an abundant being. Now I'm grounded in the fact that I am highly favored by money. Now I'm grounded in the fact that I can handle large amounts of money. Now I am grounded in the fact that I can handle large amounts of money and have good balance in investments, in making purchases, in sharing my money and enjoying my money. That is who I identify with, and I am worthy of that. So I know that this video was helpful to you, and so before we go, I want to say thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the TamaraTamu Collective. And don't forget, in the link is in the description, the link to sign up for one of my 75-minute one-on-one sessions where it's a quick session and it's transformative. This is not about me telling you what to do. It's not about me telling you what you want. It's about both of us working together so that you can return to that powerful you that identifies with that highest vision that you have for yourself, that knows that you are worthy to be how you want to be in this world, that you can have what you want to have, and you can do and have the freedom to do the things that bring you joy. Okay, that is what that session is about. Click on the link and it'll take you to the scheduling page, which gives you more information about the sessions. Okay, and if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. And until next time, cheers.